Welcome to Reread, where I'm rereading through the expanded universe in chronological order. Let's go into Darth Bane, Book 2, The Rule of Two. I stand corrected from my last review because I'd forgotten that Drew Karpyshyn picked up the last half of the comic book, the one that I mentioned from Jedi and Sith that wasn't mentioned in the first one. I'm not sure why he did it, but he chose his own pacing, I guess, but it picks right back up where the last one ended. And the last time I read it, I just remembered the 10 years later part. That's what I was thinking. It started off 10 years later, like the third book does. I believe that one starts 10 years later from the previous book. And I had forgotten, and it's like there's a good bit of it. There's a couple of chapters and everything that kind of talk about Tomcat, which I said was kind of silly, and that Drew Karpyshyn left him out of the first book, but now he kind of, it's not really a retcon, but just kind of gives his side of the story about what happened to him during the Battle of Ruusan. They talk about him turning on the Jedi. They talk about him becoming a Sith or joining the Sith army, I should say, for a little while. And then his battle against Bug, his cousin. It talks about all that, the whole him with the bouncers. I am a man. I guess I'm just a man now, you know. And they do that with him. So they kind of give him a little bit of a ending. Oh, and it talks about the story about how Rain exploded his hand. So he realizes that she did that just to save him, and he wasn't thinking straight. He still doesn't know how he survived the thought bomb, which you're thinking, yeah, me neither. And so it transfers, or no, actually it keeps there. It shows how Bane gets his obelisk, and it takes over Kevin J. Anderson's story. Kind of, it takes place, and you could fit them both in there, but it's basically a different account, just from a different point of view. Some of the things are the same. He is seeing the ghost of some of these Sith for just a very brief time. He can see them while he gets it, and Drew Karpyshyn obviously put that in to make connections and not have any contradictions with Kevin J. Anderson's short story. But in a way, I'd kind of suggest people not read. This is kind of weird. Don't read Jedi vs. Sith. Don't read the short story by Kevin J. Bane of the Sith, because it's all accounted for and in a much better way. Even though Bane of the Sith is fine as is, it does have a few things that are off. Remember, he said, "I'm going to go find and I'm going to go to Onderon and find my apprentice." Okay, well, yeah, because he told Rain to go meet him at Onderon, but this is her first test. She has to get off the planet on her own. And it talks about how she got there by, she didn't hijack a starship. She got a family to take her, ended up killing them all. I think the first one was by accident. And, it kind of shows that there's something off with her. She's not really good. And after she gets there and he's got all the little obelisk on him, which I still think is really cool. I thought that was a cool part of the story there. And we fast forward 10 years later. Now, Darth Xana's, she's a little bit older now. I believe she's in her mid to early 20s, and Bane's got to be in mid to early 30s. So they're in their, Bane's in his prime right now, doing great. And they are in hiding. Bane is trying to create a Sith holocron. That's what he wants to do, and it takes him months, if not years, to work on these. And every time he works on one, it crumbles to dust, or it doesn't work, it blows up. And so and it's the obelisk, he thinks, that are stopping him or hindering him from completing it, because either he takes too long and it just collapses, or he presses himself too hard and the obelisk, something kind of drained him of his power, and he can't, keep his hand steady. He's got a tremor in his hand, which I do remember in the third book. But I've forgotten they put it in this one too. He has a little tremor he has to hold back. Darth Xana is doing different things this whole time and learning lessons from Bane, I should say. And I think this happened about the same time. He told her to befriend one of the animals that were very skittish toward humans. Well, it takes her, I guess, months to finally gain the trust of this animal, and it becomes like her pet. So it follows her back to the camp where Bane is cooking stew, and she goes, "Here, master, I did it. Now what do you want me to do?" He went, "Good, throw it in the stew." Like he knew that she had made a connection with this, animal, this fuzzy little creature or whatnot. And so she had to kill it and put it in the stew. And she's like, I see you have taught me 2 lessons today, master, where Bane smiles. A little bit of dark comedy there, but it's really good, because he said, "Hey, don't care for anything too much that you won't kill it, because it always serves a purpose. Remember, none of these people, you can like them. And almost it was like a lesson, because she had just gone undercover to fall in love with a guy from a resistance to the Republic, a resistance group within the Republic. They're like the separatist movement, where she had mixed feelings toward this guy, but eventually led him toward his death. And she does that a lot here. She meets her dead boyfriend's boss, who also has a little dark side ability, and he wants to be her apprentice, which is another really good scene, because when he sees who Darth Zana really is, you know, he tells everyone to leave, and then he bows to one knee. He goes, "Master, you know, you can train me. I want to join you. Please teach me." You know, so she's kind of shocked by this revelation. He's like, "Well, let's take on Bane." And he has these shadow assassins, these Sith that can hide themselves in the Force. They're not very powerful, you know, they're not the best at fighting or whatnot, but they're great at stealth. And so they win by the element of surprise. You can't sense them through the Force. And so she thinks that Bane can take them on, so she kind of sets Bane up for a trap, where the Shadow Assassins in that Dark Jedi go after Bane. They're no match for Bane. Bane easily takes them out. Oddly enough, the Obelisk actually warned him that they get excited because they feel the dark side being used. And he's like, why? What are they sensing? He didn't sense anything. And then immediately he realizes, oh no, they're Sith assassins here. And then breaks out a lightsaber, ruins their element of surprise, and basically slaughters them all. He goes to slaughter Darth Zana until she reveals that, hey, wait a minute, I have got something that can help you out. I know the location of a holocron that can help you out on how to build holocrons. And of course, he's very interested in that. At the same time, Darth Zana is making notes on the weaknesses of her master, right? Because the apprentice shall crave that power until she one day takes the role of Dark Lord of the Sith. I should go back a little bit. There is another story with two Jedi, Farfalla, who is from the Jedi vs. Sith comic book. Drew Karpyshyn writes him really well here. He's a wise Jedi. Sure, he's kind of elegant, but he's very wise, and he understands that once the war's over, the Jedi need to move away from being a warrior troop and start, learning to help others, just being diplomats and helping out the galaxy instead. He's the first to disband the Army of Light. Well, General Haas' old apprentice is now his apprentice. His name is Johan, and Johan's mad about that. But he said, okay, well, fine, then I won't do that. Well, help me clean up some of these resistance cells. Put me on that mission. He goes, no, you're going to be here, staying here at Coruscant, guarding Counselor Valorum. He does not want to do that, because that's a boring job, he thinks. He wants an exciting job out in the field. But he becomes a Jedi Knight. Johan does. Well, then we flash forward 10 years later with them, same time as Darth Bane and Zana have been having their storyline. I should mention, though, in the past, before that, Johan has an adventure where he encounters two people who encountered Bane. Bane killed them all and left them out there because he wants rumors to abound about Sith. I saw a Sith. So that the Jedi don't jump. If rumors are everywhere, you cry wolf long enough, then once someone does spot a Sith, they may say, oh, that's probably one of those fake seeings we've seen. And so he's trying to start this illusion from uncreditable people like mercenaries who, they go to the highest bidder, no one will believe them. And sure enough, Johan believes them because he thinks the Sith are still out there. But Farfalla goes, come on, these are mercenaries? Are you serious? Think about this. Think about it. And as Johan thinks about their situation and their constant lies and whatnot, he went, yeah, you're right. The Sith are dead. But these mercenaries really did see Darth Bane. And Darth Bane knows what he's doing. And I like that. I like that little character arc with Johan, that he believed the Sith were still alive, but then was convinced, oh yeah, they're not. Fast forward 10 years later, he comes across Tomcat, who is going by his real name, but he says people who also call me Tomcat. He has become a healer of the planet. He's a hermit healer. Not as good as Caleb, the healer from the first book, but he's still good, and he's known as a healer with one hand. Deverett is his real name, and the reason that Johan encounters him is Johan, 10 years later, is now more mature. He saves Counselor Valorum's life. He's not ex-Counselor Valorum. There's a new counselor there, but he still guards Ambassador Valorum. And Valorum doesn't want any extra detail, security detail. He said, who would care about me? I'm not the Chancellor anymore. No one's going to care about me. But after a failed assassination attempt that almost took his life, but thanks to Johann, he survived. He went, hey, I owe you, what do you want? What do you want from me? And one of the things Johann wants is to get him to get some security detail, but also a statue of General Hoth erected on the planet Rusan to commemorate 10 years later after the battle, how peace came about. Now, Farfalla is against this. He kind of tells Johann that, but Johann's like, well, it's a symbol. It's the Republic, not the Jedi, but they just need a symbol of peace. And so Johann goes to be on the project. This story is basically just maybe 2 chapters, but Deverett doesn't want any memory of this terrible battle. He wants it to be left in the past and Rusan never have to remember it again. So he keeps sabotaging the project until Johann catches him one night, learns about who he is, and as he's talking about, why are you doing that? He goes, because both of you are bad. He went, well, yeah, but the Sith are gone. They were the bad guys. He went, they're not gone. They're still around. He said, who do you think gave me this? Points to his stub hand. Who do you think gave me this? My cousin's now a Sith apprentice and everything. And Johann's like, wait, what? You saw them too? So now he's like, the mercenaries were telling the truth. He's like, well, you've got to come back to Coruscant, tell the Jedi for me. You're a credible person. And so he brings him to court. At first, Tomcat doesn't want to do it, but then he realizes, yeah, if it'll stop an upcoming war, then I'll do it. He goes to Coruscant with Johann. Meanwhile, Darth Bane is tripping all of this heavy fortified fortress security systems to get to the Sith holocron from this dead Dark Lord of the Sith. And it's kind of cool. She was kind of like a techno mage from Stargate, or was it Stargate? No, Babylon 5. She can use her Sith magic with robots and with machines, and so she has these kind of freaky looking cyborg things that just come out of the woodwork and try to destroy Bane. Well, because of his obelisk armor now and his talent with the Force, he's able to it says the fight went over an hour, he's able to slaughter everything in the room, which I thought was really neat, just to get that holocron and finally learn the secret about what he's been doing wrong on making a holocron. He sent his apprentice to go off to Coruscant. I can't remember why, to kind of look at the obelisk to see if she could remove, is there a safe way to remove the obelisk? And she wants to do that too, because Bane is way too powerful with them. So if she removes them from him, then she has a chance to strike at him. But Bane kind of is entertaining the idea of getting rid of them too, because as Xana pointed out, they're making him too angry. He's not thinking straight, and he realizes that. Also, he thinks that they are the reason he can't make a holocron. So Xana goes to, she disguises herself as a Jedi apprentice who's out in the Outer Rim, and she dyes her hair black, but basically assumes that identity and says, well, it's been 5 years. She probably didn't have any friends, or friends, what would be the odds of her running into someone? And so all she does, she's going to hang out in the library, study their healing techniques, the Jedi books on healing, see if there's anything about the obelisk, and then split. She's not going to go see the sites or anything. She's just in and out, keeps her head down, and studies. That's all she does in the library. Well, when Johann brings Tomcat, talks to Farfalla about Tomcat. He said, yeah, I brought him here. He's like, oh, this is not making sense. He said, we found the records of this guy. He was a traitor. He had betrayed the Jedi. Remember, he's like, oh, yeah, but we should still hear him out. Johann's not giving up. He just wants Farfalla to hear him out. So Farfalla's like, okay, I'll hear you out. So they go to, he said, where is this, Deverett? He went, oh, yeah, I left him in the Jedi library. And that's almost how the chapter ends. You're like, oh, because he knows who Rain is, Darth Xana, and so they're going to meet. So that was a really cool way to end a chapter. You're like, oh my gosh, here it goes. Let me backtrack on Tomcat a little bit. It says that he finds out later on the reason he didn't have the thought bomb, or the thought bomb didn't destroy him, was because he didn't have much talent in the Force. You're like, that goes against what the comic book says. I'm wondering if Drew Karpyshyn was told that later on, because then later on he kind of even peels back another layer. I wouldn't say retcon, but he pulls back another layer to explain that previous sentence. But I'm pointing that out just in case. I don't think I'll forget this, but Tomcat, of course, sees Rain. He encounters her in the library. He's like, Rain? That's another how a chapter ends. She finally finds the way to cure him of the obelisk. And that's when he goes, Rain, what are you doing here? She looks up and sees him. That's the end of that chapter. It reverses and shows Tomcat's reaction to seeing her and goes, wait a minute, I know who that is. Well, all of a sudden, when he realizes it's her, he goes, you need to get out of here. The Jedi are coming. They know about you and your master. So how? You told them? He's like, well, yeah, I didn't want to start a war. But now that he realized, he's seeing Rain again, his cousin's like, I can't have him take my cousin. So now automatically he flips the script and teams up. Okay, he's so reluctant to work with the Jedi, but with the Sith, well, because I guess the Sith is cousin, he's like, yeah, but I got to help her. It's truly a weird flip, but if you do look at the comic book, they were so close. Remember, if you read the comic book, Tomcat was the reason Rain got even selected to go with the Jedi. She had no Force abilities, and the Jedi Master saw, and he said, well, we don't want to take her. She has no Force abilities. It's like, oh, come on. If she can do this, let her do it. And so she tries, but secretly, it said in the comic book, Tomcat did it for her, just so she could come. And they reverse that immediately while they're on the ship. He goes, I didn't have the Force this entire time. You had it. You were unconsciously channeling the Force through me, and that's how I could do all these amazing things. Ooh, that's a stretch. But when you picked Rain to be Darth Zana, and she's portrayed as this very weak Jedi all the way through, I guess you want to make that? I don't know. But maybe I think it's because he made that. He tried to put in his head, how does Tomcat survive the thought bomb? If he's powerful in the Force, or he has Force abilities like the Jedi Master said in Jedi vs. Sith. So it's Drew Karpyshyn doing the best he could with the worst he was handed, which is that Jedi vs. Sith comic book. And I get it. Well, Darth Zana has her Tomcat read up on the medical, how to remove an obelisk. So that way she can, even though she doesn't tell him this, that's her cover story of keeping him alive and not killing him when Darth Bane asks. And of course she gives that reason too. Unfortunately, they were followed by Jedi because Farfalla, three other Jedi Masters and Johan, Jedi Knight, all followed Darth Zana because they know the Sith are around. Because when they go to the library, Deverett's not there, and then they found out he left with another girl, and then they realized, oh, that was the Sith. She's been here. So they get a party together, a brief little party. They don't get all the Jedi involved because Farfalla goes, we'll investigate it. He's going to take it seriously, taking 5 Jedi. I think 3 of them are Masters, and then Johan, a Jedi Knight. And he does alert the council to say, hey, we're going to go investigate a Sith sighting on Onderon. Nothing. We'll let you know if it's serious. But he thinks he has plenty of backup for 2 Sith, or Sith and an apprentice. And of course, Darth Bane is furious that Zana has led the Jedi here. Furious at Tomcat for telling the Jedi about him, because all his plans are now unraveling, it seems. He goes in berserker mode, and this is the only thing about this book that was a little confusing. They switch, like Darth Zana is fighting 2 unknown Jedi, and you don't know who they are until one gets called by name. You're like, oh, Johan, who is the other one? And then they'd switch to the next chapter. It'd be from the Jedi's point of view, and then in between chapters, it'd be from Darth Bane's point of view, the Jedi's point of view, and then back to Darth Zana's point of view, and like, pick a side. Pick a side. It was a little confusing at times, but the battle is really cool. It's hard to write good, engaging action at times. That's probably the most tedious thing you got to think of, is like, okay, how do I convince the reader to see this move in their head? And Drew Karpyshyn did a great job with it. So just flipping back from the point of views back and forth, I got a little lost once, I think. But, I mean, I just wish they would have stuck with just one point of view. Maybe the Jedi's point of view. I don't know. Either way, though, the Sith are able to defeat their opponents. Darth Bane is awesome. But he does get electrocuted really bad at the end. And it's so bad it burns his whole flesh. It should have killed him. But it kills a bunch of the obelisk that are there charred black. When they die, they release a poison into his bloodstream. And so she has to take him to a healer. She knows that Tomcat can't do it. His skills aren't there. She remembers Caleb the healer, goes to see him. Of course, he refuses to heal Darth Bane. He's not going to heal Darth Bane. And at the same time, she says, well, I'll kill your doll. Hunt down and kill your daughter. He's like, I don't even know where my daughter is. Good luck with that. So all these empty threats or bribes of money are not working. So she's frustrated because she has nothing to make him heal Bane. Well, then later on, Tomcat convinces Caleb to do it. Why? Because he makes a promise. He said, what if, Caleb, my cousin, sends a letter to or a message to the Jedi Council saying, hey, we're the Sith, we're here. There's a Dark Lord of the Sith here. He was injured. He fought and killed 4 Jedi on Onderon, and he's on the planet Umbra, so come and get us. But not like a challenge, but it's a message of tipping off the Jedi. So Caleb agrees. Darth sends it, but she still doesn't like the idea. Tomcat's doing all this. He's like, look, they'll arrest Bane. You apologize. The Jedi are all about redemption. Like, all of a sudden, he's for the Jedi. When on Rasan, he was vehemently against it. Again, you could say, well, his love of his cousin trumps everything. And that does make sense, because he'll do anything for his cousin, Rain. And he says, you are good, you're not a Sith, you're not evil. Yeah, you've killed people. Remember, I turned to the Sith for a short time, but that doesn't make me totally evil. I can't, you're not beyond redemption. And this is the part where Darth Zana really has to make a hard decision, because she's weighing the options here, what she's going to do. And is she really, because is she redeemable? But she kind of wants to be a Sith. She's done some things. So she has to make a grown-up decision. Anyway, when Darth Bane finally wakes up, Xana tells him everything, what's going on, that the Jedi are coming. He's like, you have destroyed us, He's like, quick, go ahead. I'm too weak to get up from this bed, but kill me now, take the mantle, and leave. Escape. At least, just to keep the Sith alive. And she has a better idea. She whoops out her lightsaber, and the chapter ends, or there's a little break in it. When the Jedi arrive, they find Caleb carved up into a billion different pieces. The starship, I should mention, Darth Zana's starship, was automatically sabotaged on purpose, so she couldn't get out and escape or flee with Darth Bane once he healed her. So they see the ship dismantled. They see Caleb just, his head's on a pike too. Pieces of him are everywhere. And then Tomcat, who's crazy, even though they don't know it's Tomcat. He comes out, he's got a stub on a hand. He's come out swinging a lightsaber all insane. And it ties back to something that Darth Zana did earlier on in the novel, is she made one of the resistance, the secret cell on this planet of resistant fighters. She turned one of them insane, just use the Force to kind of make her brain insane. Well, she does that to her best friend, or her cousin, I should say. And so they assume that is the Dark Jedi, or the Dark Lord of the Sith, just crazy now, because, he tried to heal himself, but his I don't know, he was injured. It didn't say how he was injured. The letter didn't say how he was injured, but they said, oh, he's trying to heal himself, and that kind of made him crazy. He was, he's kind of gone, he's gone nuts now. He killed Caleb the healer. He came after us wildly swinging. We chopped him down because they're afraid of the Sith, and then he went, okay, well, now the Sith have truly been destroyed, and they think it's all a done deal. And then underneath a hidden bunker, which they've already revealed this earlier, because Caleb was hiding in it from Darth Zana early in the book. Darth Zana is hiding there with an unconscious Bane, waiting for masking her presence in the Force, waiting for them to go away. Kind of neat, and it ends on Darth Bane kind of wakes up and says, I'm impressed, my young apprentice. And she said, oh yeah. He's like, you didn't kill me even when I asked you to. She was like, you're cunning. You're far more cunning than I gave you credit for. And she goes, it's okay, Master. She said, yeah, I'm waiting because I have much to learn from you. So you're going to heal up, let me learn from you, and then I will kill you and take your mantle. But right now you're of use to me. When you aren't, I will kill you. And Bane goes, I will accept that challenge. I look forward to that day. He's very proud. I like that. I like that ending. And Rule of Two, this is the cool thing I didn't realize about this. Maybe I did. I always imagine that Rule of Two left something hanging, like, stay tuned for part 3. No, there's nothing. You could have ended the book on Rule of Two, but you did a third book. So even if that third book never made it out, if this was the Bane duology, we'd be raving about it the whole time without even any knowledge that a third book would be possible. So that kind of makes me think, what was the fourth book? Everyone talks about a Darth Zana, Drew Karpyshyn book, but I'll talk about the third book next time.